All right, thanks for joining us. I'm Marlin Bohling with you as we look at your ag commodity trade, and we're going to go ahead and travel out to the Mid-Atlantic coast right now, too, and talk with Ben Hushon. He is with the mill in Whitehall, Maryland. And Ben, thanks for joining us here. Last time we talked, a lot of guys were putting up silage, and I believe they were kind of wrapping that up. You also had a field day out there for your customers, but now I understand you're in the full throes of harvest activity. Is that right?
Yes, we are. Good morning, Marlin. We have had, since we talked last week, it's been hot and humid. I don't know that I've ever talked about a week of hot and humid in September. But what did a farmer tell me yesterday? He said, you know, I hear on RFD-TV they talk about suitable days to be in the field, and we've had 7, and we're heading towards another 7, it looks like. Another farmer told me yesterday, he said, you know, the corn, I said, is your corn drying? He said, just like clothes in a dryer. He said, as hot as it is and the wind's blowing, he said, corn's really starting to dry down.
Yeah, I remember when you have hot conditions like that, and you approach 90 degrees and you get a little bit of wind blowing out there, you can lose several points in a day if you don't stay on top of it. Sometimes it can even get a little too dry for what the end users want out there. So tell me about the harvest. What are guys finding out when they're out there in their fields? Are the results what they had hoped for? And are you also doing some sort of hay harvest activity these days, or what?
Well, we are. We'll touch on hay. That's the shorter discussion. I had a couple growers say, you know, when I saw that forecast for this coming week, I went ahead and mowed hay over the weekend to get one more cutting than what they typically would get on the grass hay. But on the corn side, pretty much what's happening in our community here is the 96 to 103-day corn is what they're harvesting, 20 to 24% moisture. Had one grower, a little bit of an anomaly, tell me yesterday 16% corn he had gotten into, and it was I think 100-day corn. But performance-wise, they're telling us generally so far they're getting similar yields to last year. 2 growers kind of hinting very humbly that they so far was better than what they had last year. But again, very early. If I had to guess, I'd say at most 20% of our growers have started to harvest this week. A few people started last week, you know, got a load or 2, got some early harvest bonus, and kind of park the rigs again. So it's just, we are very early in the process at this point.
Ben, I know some viewers may be curious. Do your producers around there grow mainly yellow corn for industrial use? Do you have any white corn, waxy corn, anything like that?
We're all yellow dent corn, and we're pretty much feeding animals. And there's some pockets of corn going for human consumption. Obviously, there's Kellogg's has a plant in here, and there's but primarily what really pays the bills in the east in our area is going to be chickens and hogs and dairy and livestock. It's we still are corn deficit. We can't grow, even with the tremendous yields we've been blessed with the last 3-4 years. We still need our friends in the West to rail some corn in to feed all the animals that are in here. That's
one of the benefits of being located in that area where the urban centers are not that far away, because you always have a ready demand for your products there. So interesting scenario. Thanks for the update. I appreciate that, and good luck on the harvest, Ben.
Thank you, Marlin. Just to remind the viewers and listeners, this is the time of year everybody gets in a hurry to slow down and have a safe week.
You bet. I echo that. Thank you, Ben. We'll talk with you next week. Ben Hushon of the Mill in Whitehall, Maryland. We'll come back in a moment, and I'll run through your futures trade as it stands right now when we come back. Always great to visit with Ben Hushon of the Mill in Whitehall, Maryland. Thank him for the update on the Mid-Atlantic harvest activity going on right now. Okay, let's see how the grain markets are doing. We had a little pressure in the corn market and the soybean trade as we started out today. Let's take a look right now on the corn board in Chicago with latest quotes. These are live direct from the trading floor. We have the December contract currently trading at $3.54 1/4. So now we are up a half cent. Kind of similar to yesterday where it opened weaker and then kind of firmed up at mid-session. The March corn now up 3/4 at $3.67 1/4. What about the soybean trade here today? Well, in the soybean market, continuing pressure. November down 7 at $9.64 1/4 per bushel. Remember, we were hearing stories yesterday of harvest activity all the way up into Wisconsin on the northern edge there. So widespread harvest activity starting to get underway in the soybeans. I had numerous people report to me anyway that they were expecting the soybean harvest to be a week away, but with the hot and drier conditions that they've had in much of the Corn Belt here over the past week or so, they said the soybeans really dried down in a hurry, and they were in there several days earlier than they thought they would be. So that is having an impact here on the trade. Also, there were rumors yesterday about the new forecasts in Brazil that were bringing rain back into the forecast for some of the dry areas there, and that also put pressure on the market yesterday, I understand. So a little follow-through selling today. January beans down 6.5 cents now at $9.75 1/4 per bushel. On the soy meal, we'll see how the components are doing here too. Right now, October soy meal down $3.30 at $306.80 per ton. On the soy oil side of the ledger, right now you have the October contract 13 points higher at $33.91. What about canola? We can throw that in the mix there. With the harvest underway, we have November canola now 50 cents higher in Canadian currency, trading at $495.80 per metric ton. On the wheat trade, here we go with a look at Chicago. We'll look at December at $460 1/4 per bushel. That would be up 6 1/4 cents. So a big rally starting to take place this week in the wheat market in Chicago and Kansas City. Let's take a look at Kansas City. On December, we're now 5 1/4 higher at $459 1/4 per bushel. We're now getting about 7.5 cents off of our earlier low this morning already. What about Minneapolis spring wheat? Sometimes it goes the opposite of the other two, and it is under a little more pressure, even though it has turned around and gone higher by a little bit this morning. We're now at $6.50 even per bushel on December. That would be a penny and a quarter higher, so it's starting to get some spillover strength from the other two exchanges here. On the cotton market right now, we have that December contract down 71 points at $68.75 per pound. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our livestock trade for you and get you updated there. On the live cattle board, October down 62 at 108.60 per hundredweight. December now down $1.02 at 113.40 per hundredweight. No cash cattle trade yesterday to give any guidance to the market here. So everything quiet there. And a lot of spillover weakness yet from that cattle on feed report last Friday that showed the placements about almost 6% higher than what the trade expected. And that really put a negative spin on the market ever since that came out. Now, looking at the feeder cattle market right now, here's a look at the futures. We have the October contract down $1.38 right now at 150.22, and that's on a new low for the day as we look at it. Had been as high as 151.68. We have November down $1.32 right now at 151.80 per hundred, and that would be just a dime off our low of the day. Meanwhile, on the lean hog trade, here we have the October contract now 52 lower at 55.80 per hundred. Check that, now 55.78. Wow, that's only one tick now from our low of the day. December, though, is 38 higher, and we're trading at 57.80. And that is about 85 cents off of its earlier low of the day. The February contract up 15 at 62.75. Quick look at our crude oil market. I wanted to point out we are seeing a little backing and filling there. We're down 55 cents in West Texas crude at 51.67 per barrel on the nearby contract. So, Christina, a little give and take there.
Okay, we'll see what happens as the day continues. Thank you, Markets Editor Marlin Bohling.